Hello, folks. I'm back again. Sorry about that false start. Welcome to Human Music live stream. I had an issue with my podcast mixer. It wasn't working. So I was here talking and nobody was hearing what I was saying. But basically, what I was trying to say is that this is the bossa nova, the electric bossa nova that we started last week. And I've been sick, I'm still sick, so I took a few days off from streaming. But I'm back. I want to keep plowing away at this project and make it a real solid habit. And I don't have anybody but myself to account to. So I thank everyone who's joining me and hanging out as we progress in this project of creating human music for my personal stash, my personal library. These songs will be freely available for use in YouTube and social media platforms in general, as are my YouTube audio library songs, as well as my Facebook sound collection songs. Difference only being that these songs are completely my own. I will own the rights to these instead of YouTube and Facebook, but they should be similar quality, similar styles and genres, and still free to use the same way that you would use any of my other library songs. So this is the bossa nova, kind of electronic bossa nova that we were doing. I think last time I streamed it was on Friday, and we got pretty far with it. We have acoustic drums, so that's this, which I recorded in one take, no edit. There is the electronic drums, which we did with the modular synthesizer that you see in the lower camera there. Right? Sounds really nice, actually. There's a little banjolin track there, doing kind of random blips and loops to add to it. Okay. I used the mutant rim shot from Hex Inverter Erica Synths, as well as the hi-hat and kick drum from the EDU modules from Erica Synths as well. Then we did a nylon string guitar, which I created the main harmony and structure for the song with my nylon string paracho guitar from Mexico, Michoacan. And then I recorded a Les Paul and reversed it. So the Les Paul is doing the chords in reverse, so it's sounding more like a synthesizer pad really than a guitar. Gives it a nice texture. And then we have the bass, which is my fretless 5-string Yamaha from the 80s, white one. You can look back at previous streams to see me do all this. And then we added I improvised a solo on the piano, on the electric piano, which is meant to be the main melody, but it did turn out to sound very improvised. So now I want to hear the song and see if there's anything else that needs to be done to it. I think a little polishing is in order. Maybe layered some more sounds for the melody. Maybe alternate some sounds as well, so that part of it sounds like a solo, part of it sounds like a melody. We'll see. Let's listen to the whole thing to catch up and get a feel for how far we've gotten so far, and we'll decide what needs to be done to finish this track. And I think I'll finish it fairly quickly, which will give me time to start a new one. And I'm thinking I want to do a blues next. That's something that is fairly minimal effort for me. I know the blues idiom fairly well, so I can probably come up with something quickly that will sound nice and will be useful to have in the library. You know, a blues is it's always good to have. Um, yeah, so that's, without further ado, let's just go to the beginning of the track and hit play and listen and evaluate how it's sounding so far. Little count off there. Hey Danilo, welcome back, man. Good to see you here too. Yeah, I'm allowed to stream now because I'm not working under any commissions for any big companies with NDAs. These are songs that I'm making for my own personal library.
Hey,
Hey,
uh,
uh,
Alona,
Alona,
no, it's
no,
not
it's
only
not only
you.
you. I'm having trouble with my
I'm
I'm
having
having
trouble
trouble
with
with
my
my
audio
audio
mixer
mixer
here for
here for
some
some
reason
reason
today. I've
today. I've
already had
already
to
had to
restart the
restart the
stream.
stream.
I
I
just
just
turned
turned
on the
on the
audio
audio
from the
from the
Sony
Sony
camera.
camera.
You
You
said the
said the
music was
music was
working,
working,
Danilo. I
Danilo. I
think
think
that's
that's
the
the
music is
music is
going
going
in
in
through
through
the
the
screen
screen
capture,
capture,
Mac
Mac
OS
OS
screen
screen
capture. So
capture.
when
So
I
when I
play,
play,
yeah, I
yeah, I
see it
see it
modulate the
modulate the
screen
screen
capture here.
capture here.
So you
So
know
you know
what?
what?
I
I
think I'm
think
just
I'm just
gonna.
gonna
I've turned
I've
on
turned
my
on my
mixer
mixer
and it's
and it's
still
still
not
not
showing up
showing up
here.
here.
Oh,
Oh,
here we
here
go.
we go.
The
The
mixer's
mixer's
back on.
back
I
on. I
restarted
restarted
it.
it.
I
I
think I'm
think I'm
gonna
gonna
turn
turn
off my
off my
instrument
instrument
because I
because I
think it's
think
just
it's just
overloading the
overloading the
USB
USB
power,
power,
and
and
that's
that's
what's
what's
making it
making it
troublesome.
troublesome.
So we're
So we're
gonna
gonna
mute the
mute the.
camera now. Yeah, I'm muting. I've just muted the camera because you were probably getting double audio. Um, Sorry, folks. A little bit of technical difficulties here today. So what I was saying, now that I think we're probably hearing me okay now, right? Um, what I was saying was that this song needs a little work, and a couple of things are that I notice are, for example, the electronic drums are just a loop; they're repetitive. So maybe we need to create a little variation there, do uh, a few stops, mutes, fills, things like that. And also, the piano track was one take improvised last Friday, and I think parts of it work really well, sound pretty composed. Other parts sound like could be improved. So let's do a little work on this song. Just polish it up and finish it nice. I mean, it could probably get away with leaving it as it is for video backgrounds and such, but I am a perfectionist, and also part of the project here is to share my production techniques with you folks, my composition ideas, and let's put in the effort to make this extra specially nice and not just settle for good enough. Right? How's that sound? Thank you, Danilo. Alona, thank you very much for bringing up the technical difficulty. Please mention it again if it happens again. And yeah, I think I'm having trouble with too many things plugged into the USB bus, and then my audio feed it drops out. Hopefully that won't happen again. I just turned off the instrument, which is sad because I was planning on using it. The instrument, for those who don't know, is this controller right here, which is an expressive controller that allows you to do glissandi and vibrato and things like that. And I use it in conjunction with some software that simulates instruments like trumpets and cellos and stuff, and I can articulate them much more convincingly with this kind of controller than I can with a keyboard. And that would have been a nice thing to see today, but I'm gonna have to figure out. Maybe I need to power my USB hub so that this issue doesn't reoccur. But in the meantime, yeah, I have too many things plugged into the USB of this Mac Mini here. There's the camera, there's the iPad, which is feeding the GoPro camera. There is the podcast mixer, my studio audio interface, the keyboard, the yeah, too much stuff. I'll figure it out. I'll iron this out for tomorrow's stream because tomorrow, spoiler alert, we're gonna have a look at the Steam Pipe synthesizer by Erica Synths, which is a physical modeling hardware synthesizer, polyphonic, and it's a really wonderful instrument that I haven't given enough attention to yet. And the tomorrow's stream will eventually be edited into a proper demonstration and of the steam pipe. So that'll become its own video eventually, and I plan to use it with the instrument. But hey, I might just connect the instrument directly to the steam pipe and not need to use a USB hub for that. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself here. That's tomorrow. Today we have to finish this, and then I think if we don't take too long to finish this song, I might still have time to do another song, and something that I can do fairly quickly and that'll sound good and be useful in the library will be a blues. So I think I'll just play, some bass guitar, organ, and drums, and do a cheeky blues. All right, so let's start with just cutting out the intro here, the count off. We don't need that count off. Right, and the drums and the bass start together with that little there. So we're just gonna cut everything that comes before that, and we'll put a marker for when, start. We'll call it start, and that's for when we need to bounce this track when it's finished. We can select the marker and know that it starts right there. I really like the intro. I'm not sure I like this. Maybe we want a little silence from the piano here before it starts with the melody. Let's hear that. Yeah, I like it. I like that just the band, the backup band does the ta da ta, and then the piano comes back for the melody. And I like this melody. I think sometimes when I just start improvising, I have my best melodic ideas. After all, improvisation is nothing if not instant composition, right? Now, the challenge here is to make it feel like composition throughout, or maybe select portions that can be seen as a solo and improvisation. So let's go through it. Cool. So yeah, this works really well as a melody for the A section. Um, you notice that there's rhythmic movements and melodic movements that are repeated and slightly altered. It feels like a well constructed melody, not just mindless improvised solo. So I think that works so far. So the intro I like, the A section I like. I think the B section works as well. And then let's continue listening and see how it progresses. If it continues on that trend of sounding like a composition rather than just an improvisation. Okay, here I start to feel like it's meandering a bit. Mm, let's listen to the B section on. So yeah, so it feels like maybe this is the exposition of the theme, A, A, B, and then here is a solo, like the second A section sounds like a solo. So how do I separate, how do I differentiate the melody from the solo? Maybe we can reinforce the melody with more instrumentation and then let the solo be just a piano thing, right? So one way to do that is to maybe load some kind of soft synth with uh, with a sound. So I'm going to load an instrument track here, and I'm going to copy the MIDI from the top section down to the instrument track. And we're going to load an instrument here. Now, what instrument will it be? Excuse me. Good question. I'm trying to think what could complement this well. Let's load a contact instance and try to choose something. My subscription has changed. Are you kidding me? Oh, it looks like I need to update my native instruments license. As far as I know, manage subscription. Ugh, I didn't want to waste our time in the stream with this kind of thing, but such is life. And is it gonna show my password? I hope not. No, right? So nobody's gonna steal my native license. Cancelled. Oh, right. No, but I'm not using that subscription anymore. I bought a perennial product, like a bundle. I ordered a bundle. All right. No, this I should be fine. Okay. So let's go maybe tuba. I don't know. What do we need? Maybe like a guitar sound or bowed strings. I don't know. Something. Um, is this all? Oh, I haven't used Contact in a long time. I'm a little lost. Oh, Walter Wanderley kind of organ, bossa, would be a bold choice. That's a good idea, Danilo. In fact, that I can do with the keyboard itself. Um, I have those kinds of sounds in my Yamaha keyboard. I wouldn't need to use. But I also have the Arturia organ instruments. So maybe a B3 here. No, I don't need a tutorial. So let's listen to That sounds nice. That's a good idea, Danilo. Thank you for your suggestion. We'll call this the organ track, and that'll give us a layer that will help differentiate the melody from the piano solo, right? We can also change the piano sound, like use like an actual acoustic piano or a CP80 kind of a sound for the solo. But then we have like too many keyboards. I still like to make this feel like it's a combo that would exist on a stage. And have like an organ and an electric piano works, but then to have like two different electric pianos or an acoustic piano, I don't know. I know some keyboard players do go overboard and have like a ton of stuff on stage, but let's just hear what this sounds like. Maybe we want the organ to not be playing in octaves. So let's have a look, and perhaps just delete the lower octave of my melodic execution here. Right. Let's listen to that. Maybe we want this portion to be an octave higher on the organ. So let's options, event operations, transpose. Oh, what happened? Oh, my GoPro seems to have changed into fisheye for some reason. Is the battery running out on it? Let's connect it just in case. That might be what's happening here. Okay, maybe we can change it again to, yep, there we go. All right, so we want to transpose this up an octave. So 1 octave up, apply. There we go. So listen to it again. Good evening, Hook. I'd like to hear strings on this section, like doubling the B section melody. Okay, now here's the thing. There's no sustain pedal on organ, right? So we need to erase all of this sustain pedal nonsense here. Hi, sorry, folks. I really wish I wasn't this sick. All right. Now the mod wheel. I think the mod wheel turns on and off the Leslie, or changes the speed on the Leslie rather. No, I think that's actually affecting the vibrato. Let's see. Oh, no, yeah, it's the Leslie. As I turn the mod wheel on and off, up or down, it changes the speed of the Leslie. So that's something that could be interesting to add some expression. So why don't we record a layer of that? Let's call this track the organ MIDI. And we'll record a little bit of mod wheel movement here. I feel like it's doing more than just mod, it seems to be changing the pitch as well. I mean, it looks like it's only doing that. It's only changing the... Does this patch have any vibrato happening? It's off, right? The vibrato is off. Ah, I know what's happening. It's applying vibrato to the electric piano sound. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and open the audio for the piano in this part. Okay. And we're gonna mute the MIDI, piano MIDI here. And we'll mute the piano after that because we're gonna continue possibly editing that. So yeah, that's what was happening. It's not the organ that's doing vibrato, it's the piano. But now we're listening to... Oh, and remember we had cut off that little preparation on the piano track here. Okay, now I can record the mod wheel on my keyboard. Let me move it so you can see it right here. So this is going to be turning on, changing the speed really of the Leslie simulation. Leslie is the rotating speaker cabinet that's the classic effect used on the Hammond organ sounds. And it's a very expressive part of playing the Hammond organ is, changing that speed as you play it. Makes it very, very interesting. So let's record that motion. Okay, nice. And you notice in the beginning of the piano solo started to sound like warbly. That's because we're listening to the piano in real time because it's the MIDI is playing my piano right now. But now that I put the wheel down, right? So this is the piano solo now. Now let's add another thing here. We're gonna add some strings. So yeah, we're gonna add some strings to the B section. And that can be with my keyboard as well, or I can use another MIDI instrument here. But I think I'll just use the keyboard. It'll be easy. Just hit strings on here. Huh. Why is it not letting me? Vibraphone would be nice too. Glockenspiel. There's some cheesy sounds on this, but cheesy works sometimes for certain things. So, don't discount it. This sounds nice. It's a whole orchestra. It's got oboe and French horn. It's not too bad. Maybe that'll work. A hook. Your sound is rap, hip hop. Cool. I do hip hop too. I produced some pretty important hip hop albums in Brazil back in the day. Um, but I don't have my sound. My sound is all sounds. I like producing all kinds of music without restrictions or limitations. Well, maybe some. I don't some styles of music I'm not too fond of, so I probably won't do those. But a lot of styles. I like a lot of styles. Okay, so let's open up a new MIDI track for this string section here. I'll go to MIDI. We'll call it MIDI strings, just to differentiate. Set it to record, and we'll aim it towards the CK61 keyboard. I think I'll turn down the oboe. There you go. We'll leave it more of a strings thing. And we only want it for the B section. We do need to add some reverb to this organ. It sounds too dry. Track, verb. There you go. Sounds super nice now. And maybe we can even pan it slightly to the right, so it has its own space there. And let's record the strings. Maybe that's too high. And maybe we want the attack to be slower. There we go. That's nice. That's nice. I like it. The piano solo, we already have a audio of that. So if we're not going to change it, we might as well just unmute the audio here. Because now we changed the sound, right? We're in the strings here. So it was going to play with string sound. So we probably want to, if we like the strings, we need to convert them to audio, right? Because we're using a hardware synthesizer here. I like it. I like it. It doesn't do exactly what the piano is doing. It complements it well. Let's have a look at the MIDI editor here. Open in MIDI editor. Yeah, this note here. I think this note could maybe be something else. And this one could maybe be two notes. There we go. Let's listen to that. I like it. Simple, works. Now let's continue listening. Before we convert those strings to audio, because we might need more strings elsewhere. Right, and here's another B section. It looks like I repeated the melody. And this one does it twice. So let's just listen to what the piano does here and think if we probably want to go back with the strings. That's what will set the B sections apart, will be the fact that besides the change in harmony and melody, the fact that the strings come in. Yeah, remind me to fix a couple little wrong notes here on the piano part, but we'll do that in MIDI later. We'll unmute this and do that because right now we're working on strings. So yeah, let me record some strings on this part. Right, we'll do the same basic thing here. Yeah, no, I hate that. Didn't work at all. but maybe it's fixable. Maybe I just move notes around and it'll work. So let's open it in the editor. No, I think I should just probably re-record it. Let's erase this. Mm. Dun, dun. Okay. Okay, I like the beginning of what I did. Let's try editing this a bit. We'll open it in the editor. Right? Let's. We could just stretch this note out a little bit, cut out too soon. So let's listen to the whole thing. Okay, I don't love these two notes here. There we go. A little busy. Let's cut all of this out and continue from here. So I like what I have so far up to this point. Okay, I don't like this. This is a mistake. works. Let's listen to the whole thing, see if there's any adjustments to be made, and continue. Do we like it? Do we like it? Let's listen to it again. Yeah, I like it. Now we need the organ, right? We need the organ back in this section. So we're gonna move this MIDI, copy it down here, unmute it. And again, now when I double click it, it opens the mediator docked. I don't like that. I liked it better when it would open this one. Now remember, we're preferring that the organ doesn't do the lower octaves, right? The piano was played in octaves, but we don't necessarily want the organ to do that. So okay, nice. That works. And then what happens? Then we have another A section here. What happens here? Is it another piano solo? Yeah, I think the piano just solos from here on in, which is probably okay. Goes into double time. Yeah, the whole thing gets a little more vibrant and active. Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. Okay, so let's convert the strings to audio. So what we're going to do is open up a stereo track, call it strings, And we're gonna route A.7 and 8 to that, set it to record, and we're just gonna record those strings right in to audio now, because these are not soft synths. This is an actual hardware instrument. Good. Now we'll do the same with the other B section. Nice. Now we can hide and make inactive, right? The MIDI strings. Just so we don't need things cluttering up our session. We're done with that track. We have our strings in audio already. Now we can bring them down into the mix a little bit, add a reverb. A little bit of reverb there. Yeah, we want this to be just a gentle touch, right? Now the organ. Maybe we want the organ to be present in the end as well, but not doing the same thing the piano is doing. The piano is soloing, like wouldn't make sense for the organ to be doing the exact same thing. So let's see. We'll open up the MIDI here. I'll turn down the volume. So now we're using the keyboard only as a controller, right? Right. Well, we keep it, let's not try to step on the toes of the soloing pianist. So we'll stick to kind of long notes and play around with the Leslie speed. Let's do that. Yeah, I like some of that, some of it I don't. Hey folks in the chat, who's here besides Hook? Say hi. Danilo, you still there? Alona, you still there? I'd love to hear from you folks, and any comments on how you think this is coming along. I'm going to edit this organ MIDI a little bit in the meantime. Open it, MIDI editor, and let's see. Let's take a break, right? Let the piano play by itself a little bit. Come back with the organ. Maybe here. No. Yeah, this is good right here. Oh, cut it off again. The bass is even doing kind of a solo here, so it's like super busy. Yeah, organ comes back here. I like it. It's a little loud, and we can mix it softer. But I think I like it. So when it's a software synthesizer, such as this organ, we don't need to transfer it to audio the old-fashioned way, like by pressing play and recording it to a separate track, because we can go into commit here. So commit means that it'll turn this entire, it'll create a new track with just the audio of this right there. See? And then we can turn it down a little bit. Okay. Let's listen to the whole thing. And this time we'll focus a bit on the electronic drums and see if we can do some mutes or fills and stuff, just to create a little variation. Yeah, so here would be a nice place to give it a little break. To a dome, right? It would give the electronic drums a little break from here. Yep, that sounds nice. In fact, this note also goes away. You know, for the B section, we can do a slight variation on the pattern. So I'm gonna deselect the group so that I can edit the separate parts of this drum beat. So here I'm thinking tak, cat, tak, tak, cat, right? So let me just grab a loop and solo it and do the changes that I need to do. So gonna change this grid to 16th notes here. I'm gonna grab one hit, dun, 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 right here, maybe here, dun, 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 dun. There you go. Just gonna open up a little after and before so they respect the. Now I can consolidate this new pattern. Shift Option 3 creates a new Lego block here that I can keep for the B section. And now I can copy this into the next B section as well. Now we go back to 1-bar grid so that, you know, when we're zoomed out, we nail. And now this B section is twice as long, so we'll duplicate that. Cool. So now we have a variation for the B sections. Right? Hi Danilo. Thanks, man. Yeah, I think the strings worked out pretty nice, right? They fit. And your idea with the organ is great. Helped me solidify the melodic portions and differentiate them from the solo. Section again. Yep, slightly different rhythm pattern there. Maybe we can have the pendulum a little louder. I love that pendulum sound. Do a little panning on these electronic drums as well. The organ is yours too loud. So let's have a look at the volume, and we'll just lower the organ from that point on. The organ be a more subtle presence here at the end of the track. You know what? Turns out I don't feel like I need to edit the MIDI for the piano. It's working out. So I'm just gonna hide and make it inactive. We're gonna go back to waveform view of the organ. We can cut off all this extra organ here. And now the last thing that I wanted to see about is the acoustic drums. I feel like they need a little bit of attention. So part of it is mixing, right? So let's make them a little louder. I think the balance of the instrument sounds nice. Maybe a little bit of EQ, you know, bring out some of the highs here. Tighten up the low end a little bit. And they are being compressed already by quite a bit. Maybe we want a more radical ratio. Yeah, so it's a little more electronic, more present. Now let's listen to them alongside the electronic drums. Now what we're going to do is just listen to the drums and see if there are any rhythmic problems or any mistakes, and fix those. So yeah, I do notice a little bit. Let's see if we let's select rhythmic elastic time here, and we'll quantize as needed little spots like this one right here. Nah, it didn't quite work. Let's look at the warp and see how we can make this better. Maybe we just need to quantize less. So maybe just these two hits right here. And maybe we want this to be a little. Yeah, I'm not loving it. Quantization's not the thing. Just gonna copy this. Copy that here, or here rather. There you go. That works better. Let's quantize this part. Quantize this part. There we go. This here too. Yeah, this kick is a little fast. But I think I need to separate them before I quantize them. Let's see. Let's remove warp from this section. Quantization works really well when there's no like long cymbal sounds. Those get damaged pretty hard by the quantization. like this needs quantization. But there's a cymbal going there, so it's likely that it'll sound bad. But let's try. Ah, didn't mangle it too bad. Yeah, because the acoustic drums were so soft in the mix that it didn't matter too much when they had like mistakes, right? It was just the texture there. But now that we're mixing them louder, we do need them to be more accurate. It still feels very human, because after all, the dynamics and the sound are all hand played. So to have this slight adjustment in the timing doesn't really damage the human feel. Plus, we're not doing it to the whole thing, right? We're doing it where it feels really needed. Okay, this part we're gonna unquantize, remove warp, because it did mess with the cymbal sound, see? That's better. Now we can do a little crossfade here. So we'll drag this part back a little bit and do a little crossfade because it did feel like cut, right? There we go. It's more fluid now. Now, here we have another note that's sounding a little off. There we go. We just needed to fix that one note. Here's a little crossfade here too. Now this kick is also a little off. Let's fix that. Crossfade. Crossfade. This whole portion here seems to be mostly a little bit late. Let's fix it. Let's listen to it now. Something sounds weird here. Right? There's like some clicking there. Let's hear individual tracks. Huh. There's like a click in the rack tom mic. Couple of clicks there. So let's just, it's not like playing the rack tom there anyway. There we go. That should fix it. We can turn the electronic drums back on. This is probably boring, you guys, right? I'm sorry, not all of music production is interesting all the time. Some of it is boring cleanup work. Like this. But it's important. It's part of making the whole thing work out. Okay, let's quantize this portion. Wow, you know what? There's quite a bit of this clicking happening in the rack tom. Was it just in that portion? Seems like it was. Alright, we'll go back to listening to the whole drums. Something sounds weird here too. Yeah, that kick is out of time. Let's fix it. Yeah, let's go to warp and just move it manually. It doesn't have the marker it needs. And we only want to move this thing right here. There we go. No, sometimes when you can't quite fix a portion, you need to just cover it up with an edit. So we find something similar that works and just put it there. Like that. And then we can open this backwards to like here. Let's see. Yeah, that works a little better, but it's not great. Let's go backwards a little more. Yeah, this whole section here seems to be a little early. Let's move it just manually without quantizing. Let's move it manually like that. And then patch it up with crossfades. It's cool that you do so little EQ and the drums sound pretty good. Yeah. I mean, let's have a look at my mix here. See, the drums have no EQ or compression individually at all. And in the sub drums, we have a tiny little bit of EQ. That's because my drums are good sounding drums. The microphones are good quality microphones. The room sounds nice. And the placement, the mic placement is also something I've arrived at that works well. So yeah, there's no need for a whole lot of EQing or compressing or anything. I just do a little bit on the overall sub drums. You know what we can do too? I feel like the kick is a little boomy. And we do have the electronic kick, which is doing the function of, of the low kick. So we can filter out some of that acoustic kick and have it just be a little punchy thing without so much boom to it. Plus the bass, the bass is doing its job as well. I'm still hearing some clicks. Are they always from the rack tom? It seems like there's some glitchiness with my rack tom track. See, these are not natural. These are glitches. When you see something just straight like this. So why don't we do a little cleanup on just this track? So we're gonna zoom in on it, and there are a couple of ways to do this. One of them is to use the pencil tool on Pro Tools like that, and that should get rid of the harsh click. Let's just listen to that one track. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of these weird clicks here. Now this is okay. See, this is natural. It's just the natural transient. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna zoom in. Make the vertically look big like this, and then we're just gonna scroll and look for these uh, artifacts. This one looks okay, I guess. Some of them are hard to tell. Like, yeah, that's okay. I'm just gonna continue this visual inspection here of the rack tom track. Something happened. I don't know if it's something to do with my cabling or something to do with the audio interface, but I seem to be getting some glitching. Oh, here we have a bad edit. You can just fix that. Excuse me. Crossfades. Yeah, this part, it used to be that engineers did this and composers, producers didn't worry about this kind of thing. But I was trained as an engineer when I first started working in music production, and I had to do this for other composers as well as myself. And that gave me great independence and freedom because I don't need to hire an engineer to make sure that my work is clean and ready for delivery and so on. So that's nice. I recommend that. I think modern composer in this day and age should be versed in audio engineering. In fact, I think it's more important even than some of the classic skills like solfeggio or things like that. Obviously, ear training is of utmost importance, but solfeggio, like knowing to call the notes by names, things like that, is not so useful. Now this looks a little weird. Here we go. So we can use the pencil tool on Pro Tools to kind of fix these things. That didn't seem to be one though. We could also just listen. It takes a while longer to listen to these glitches. Hey, this was a clear one. This is a clear one right here. So let's just use the pencil tool, iron that out. Ah, I just heard a couple. Where are we? Oh, here's more. I'm hearing a whole bunch of glitches here. All right, let's go back. Here's one. Oh, What a pain. I could probably just put a gate on the whole track and only let, like, whenever the tom is actually hit, only let, or even just use the overheads. You know what? That might be smarter. Do we need, a close-up mic on the rack tom for this kind of music? Maybe the overhead's enough. See? Sounds fine. I'm just gonna go ahead and hide and make inactive that one track. And we're not gonna waste more time with fixing those glitches. Um, Show us that miking magic. You know why someday? Now's as good a time as any. Let me grab the camera here and quickly show you guys how I mic up my drums, since you're interested. Let me see if my cable. Yeah. So here are the drums, right? And I have my. Oh my God, the dogs are going crazy outside. Sorry about that. So this is my two Rode NT5 condenser small capsule microphones, and they're set up in an XY configuration on top of the drums, like so, right? In fact, they seem to have moved a bit. Normally they're not offset like that, but that's okay. I think that's how I recorded, and it sounded good, right? So as you can see, they're a little bit offset, but they can just be in 90-degree angle. But I'm also future-proofing my recordings by using. Uh-oh. Oh yeah, no, okay, the camera's still on. I just can't see the display anymore. Yeah, there we go. I have these other Rode microphones. It's a cheaper uh, alternative. These are the NT4, maybe. It's like they're the black ones. They're also Rode small condenser, small diaphragm condenser microphones. One here, so it's behind the drum set. See, and there's another one over there behind my light, and they're both facing inward towards the drums. So I actually have four overhead microphones, right? And the idea here is to future-proof in the sense that I can do Atmos mixing and I can place those back microphones behind, right in the back speakers when I do Atmos mixing. But it turns out that it sounds really nice in stereo as well. I just pan them in stereo. Um, so I'm grabbing the drums with four overheads rather than just two overhead microphones, right? And then I have this cheeky little mic here for the rack tom. I have a pretty cheap, I think it's PreSonus. It's, originally I bought a PreSonus kit of microphones for the drum set, and eventually I replaced them all with dedicated microphones because I didn't love the kit. But the one mic that I do like and I kept is the kick drum mic. So this is a cheap PreSonus kick drum mic. You can use an AKG D112 or a Shure Beta 52. Now I have my trusty RE20 here underneath the floor tom facing the kick drum beater. So this one is both picking up the resonance of the floor tom as well as the snap of the beater, of the kick beater hitting the kick drum. And as you can see, there's no mic on the floor tom. So the floor tom is being picked up by both the overheads and that RE20 in the bottom over there. And then we have a good old SM57 on the snare. And that's 8 microphones. I use one entire interface. They're all connected to this little snake here, and that cable goes into the back of my PreSonus interface over there. So my first 8 channels are always hardwired. My drums are always mic'd up and ready to go for any any moment that I want to record drums, I don't have to worry about anything. So, recapitulating, XY, a pair of small diaphragm condenser microphones in XY configuration on top of the drum set. And then I have an extra pair of small diaphragm condensers behind the drum set, coming from like an outward angle, right? So instead of being in XY configuration, those are one on each side coming from behind. And here's another one over here, right there. So that's 4 microphones. And then I have one on the kick, one on the rack tom, one on the snare, and one underneath the floor tom facing the kick drum beater. And that's doing double duty, grabbing the low end resonance of the floor tom. That microphone I invert the phase of because it's facing the kick drum opposite to the front mic on the kick drum, right? So I have a plugin, a trim plugin uh, here on Pro Tools. You know, other softwares have that per channel, like some way to invert the phase, or the polarity rather. Sorry, people call it phase, and I sometimes make the same mistake, but we're really talking about polarity. Oh, sorry, I just got tied up with the wire. Okay, sorry about that. So if you look here in my mixer, Pro Tools mixer, it's pretty much the only plugin that I have on an individual track is this trim plugin, and all it does is I have the phase inversion turned on over here, and that's inverting the phase of my what I'm calling the floor tom mic, right? But it's more than floor tom mic; it's floor tom and kick beater mic. So yeah, so we have kick, snare, top overheads left and right, floor tom, kick beater, back overheads left and right, and that's it. 8 microphones, and that's how I get my drum sound. And I have a nice room that doesn't have any parallel walls, so there's no standing waves, and it's all wood. So I got lucky. It's a nice sounding room. And what else can I tell you? That's it. And yeah, you're welcome, Danilo. Thanks for asking. That's it's pretty simple, but I've arrived at this miking setup over years. Oh, years I've been doing this for many years, and I used to just use overheads, kick, and snare. You know, just 4 mics. That works too. But this setup it just sounds nicer. Having a good sounding room helps. Having good sounding drums, well tuned, and great cymbals. I have very expensive, fine cymbals, and that's key. Cymbals really make the drum set sound expensive. You know, like you can pretty much any old drum set if you tune it well with good skins and play it well, it'll sound okay. But you can't get away with cheap cymbals. Cheap like bad metal cymbals will never sound nice. You do need to spend some on those. So I have a large collection of very fine cymbals that I've collected over the last few years. All right, so let's go back to what we were doing here. I think we can open up the rest of the tracks and we might be finished with this one. Now, I had planned on finishing this quickly and then doing another song today, but it's been a while. It's getting late. I need to go get my girls from school. So I think I'll be happy with just considering this track finished for today, and we'll start fresh tomorrow with a brand new composition. It will probably be a blues. You know, it's nice to have a blues in the library, and this is gonna be my own personal private library at humanmusic.org. site in progress. We're developing it as we speak, but I'm already creating content for it by creating these songs while we live stream every day. I think we need a little bit of reverb on the piano. Also, I feel like it's a little bit meaty on the mids. Let's scoop some of those mids out a little bit. There we go. That's a little better, and we can compress them too. Dynamics, just any old compressor. I like to use the Renaissance stuff. I've been using these Renaissance compressors since the early 2000s, so 20 years there. I know how they behave and sound, work for me. Now there's automation in the organ, so if I want to make a global adjustment to the organ, I might as well also use like a compressor here, and then I can use the gain, the output gain, to set the volume. Kill two birds with one stone, compress it a little bit, and have like another volume control. Have the piano slightly panned to the left, and the organ to the right. There you go, a little extra reverb on the snare rim, the electronic. Turn it down a little bit too, it's a little bit too like metronome-y. So now we have a healthier, more organic balance between the electronic drums and the acoustic drums. Makes the whole track sound a little more alive, right? Hello, Plinio. Welcome once again to the live stream. Plinio's my favorite drummer. I'm a little bit embarrassed that he's listening to my sloppy drumming. Wish he was here to drum for me. But who am I kidding? I love playing the drums too, even though I'm not great at it. So I'm always gonna do it anyway. the snare, the acoustic snare, could probably use a little bit more reverb as well. The EQ, we can scoop some mids here. Make it a little more transparent. Yeah, I'm happy with this track. I think it's finished. Ooh, I don't know. Some things about the drums in the end, they're a little off, seems. Could still use a little bit of... Yeah, see, we stopped fixing the drums around the middle of the track here. In fact, I think we can really turn the acoustic drums a little bit down again. Like they don't need to be as present as they are. That I can do with just the sub drums over here. Hey, we have a comment from Patata Shell. Hello, I'm your subscriber from Korea. Love your music and thanks for all the opportunities you open to YouTube Music Studio. Love your music to get matched with my video. Thank you very much. That's such a nice comment. I live for those kinds of comments. You're very welcome, Patata Shell, to use any of my tracks, including the ones you're watching me compose right now. This is going to be hosted at humanmusic.org eventually, and also free to use in YouTube, even though it's not officially in the YouTube audio library. Okay. All right, folks, let's give this one last listen. I've started to get antsy here sitting down so long. And we'll have one last listen to the song and put this one away. When I have 10 songs, I think this is number 5 probably, from when I started this new project. When I have 10, we're going to listen to all of them and do like one last touch up for each song and then mix and master, and then I'll publish them. So, still probably going to get one last little look at. But let's listen to it together. I'll try to resist any urge to fix more things. We're just going to have a listen. I'm sorry. I know I said I wasn't gonna fix anything, but I just heard like some weirdness in the drums here that I need to fix. There you go. See this is totally off. So let's just fix that. Hmm. There you go. Fixed. So you just quantize as needed, folks. If you quantize everything, you lose all of the humanity. Nice. Let's get off the excess here. Um, yeah, this little scrape. I think there's a little extra. Yep, a little extra here on the organ and the piano that we don't need. You know what? Might as well put a little bit of reverb on the bass, just to put it in the room. Right now, when it was all alone, it didn't go a little too dry. There you go. Maybe that's too much. Let's just open up an automation lane for the reverb here for the bass, and we'll let it have some for that last note there. But we'll leave it way softer for the rest of the song. Here. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, and that's it. That's it for today, folks. Thank you so much for joining the stream. I'll be doing this every day that I can. Hopefully, most days. There'll be days when I feel maybe a little too sick or I have some other appointment, some other thing. But my routine for the foreseeable future should be to continue doing this. Yeah, Danilo, I'm using the same reverb for most things. I do have a separate reverb only for the drums. I'll show you really quick here on my mixer. So I have, that's because since the drums are going into their own sub, I like to include their reverb, so the drums are self-contained. So there's drum reverb here. That's a Valhalla concert hall fat snare hall preset here with a fairly short decay, and so the drums are getting sent to drum reverb. See, um, they all have their own individual sends to that. And I'm pretty much only sending snare and top overheads. Everything else is dry, right? That's enough. And then everything else goes to this main reverb channel over here. I have a delay too, but I think I'm only using that for the Les Paul. It's doing, yeah. So I have the snare plate. It's funny. I'm using a snare plate preset for all the other instruments that are not drums. It just sounded nice, and it doesn't matter that it's made for drums. The preset. I'm using it for everything here. We're sending the electronic drums to that, as well as a little bit of bass, the strings, the organ, the piano, the Les Paul guitar, and the nylon string guitar. Everything is going to that. So yeah, I'm an old school engineer. I like to use reverb as a send effect, and that helps me keep everything sounding like it's in the same room. All right. So if there are no further questions, I will once again say thank you for joining me, and hopefully, excuse me, hopefully I'll see you all again tomorrow and every other day here on out. See you soon, and stay noisy, folks. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.